Hello and welcome to another edition of the Dallas Aftershow. I'm James Lott Jr. This is probably the last show of the year of 2021. I'm still in Christmas cheer. Christmas was a couple days ago. I'm releasing this now, but I was going to wear my Dallas shirt. I was still free to wear this. I'm still in Christmas mode, still in holiday mode. I'm not doing very many shows, but you guys are, thank you so much. 27 episodes, this is 28. You guys are listening, you are watching. Thank you to the countries that are listening and also to this and putting it on their charts. You guys have made my Dallas After Show a nice little hit for this network, JLJ Media. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. The Dallas Facebook groups, I appreciate you. Dallas Twitter folks, thank you so much. I do. I just really appreciate it. So I decided to, after 27 episodes, talk about the theme song, the famous theme song. I think it's one of the best theme songs of all time for a television show, daytime or nighttime. It is so recognizable. It is completely this thing that you hear the first couple of bars, you know it's Dallas, or if you don't know the first couple of bars and it gets into the hit part of it, you know it's Dallas. It's instrumental. It's an instrumental song. There's no lyrics. It's an instrumental song, and people actually know what it is. After 40 years, more longer than 40 years, I just think it's just such an accomplishment. As I'm a songwriter myself, and I write instrumental and lyric pieces, is to have an instrumental song that stands out and you totally associate it with a show or something. That's amazing. Gerald Immel is the one who wrote it. He wrote lots of them, including Knots Landing, which Knots Landing sounds very similar also to the Dallas theme. You know, Knots Landing got a little jazzier in the 90s and stuff, or whatever. They did their changes, but it was very much similar to the Dallas theme. It was a spinoff, of course, so that makes sense. So I'm just going to I was watching all the themes, all the openings, 14 seasons. I didn't do the movies for this purpose. I did the seasons and also TNT, the 3 seasons there. So we're going to let those. And literally, the opening for the original series, original 14 seasons, was the same in terms of the split screen. The 3 pieces, middle piece was always moving. First, all 3 were always moving, and later the 2 on the sides moved and stopped into us. They kind of stopped, and the middle ones that kept going, whatever it was. So they had 3. They did the split screen the whole time. Now, in the TNT series, to me, one of the biggest mistakes, they didn't do that at first. They just sweeping shots of Dallas, which the original series did too. Sweeping shots. Always showed the Cowboys arena. Of course, they always showed that in there. That part was good. But they didn't do split screen until like the 3rd season. Towards the end, they added the split screen. I thought you should have done it a long time ago. But that's just me, creative choice. The music was, and they were also alphabetical in the original series. Knots Landing 2, alphabetical from A to Z. Except in the new series, they didn't go alphabetical. But they did end with Patrick Duffy and Linda Gray as like the stars. So I guess that gives them their reverence. But the theme is recognized. That's recognizable. They always showed South Fork at the end. Very recognizable and iconic. Okay, so seasons 1 through like 3, the song basically stayed the same, even to the new series. It stayed the same almost the whole time. There were slight changes in there, and one of you guys caught these as you watched the series. Seasons 1 through 3, very disco. I never thought about it until years later how disco the theme was. It was disco, and it did come out in '78, and disco was big. So it makes sense that it sounds disco-fied. Even though it's just a soap opera, it wasn't like this romantic, languishing music that's just like sweeping. It was very disco. Very. And then I think about the Dynasty. I think about the Dynasty theme, which was very big and bold on that one. That one wasn't disco. Dallas was disco. And I was like, wow, very interesting. It was like that drums, everything. We have a lot of horns. I almost said very horny. That's not what I meant, of course. As I got to seasons 2 and 3, they played around with little parts where like all of a sudden it was sped up and it was like really fast at one point. It was still da, 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 da. It was fast. And depending on the length of the contracted cast, meaning the ones that were, the main cast, as the cast kind of grew, the theme would naturally change a bit, and go with that. But it was still basically just sped up. Season 4 through 8, we're going through that. And season 5 got funky. It was like that bass. It was really funky, and it started to get a lot less disco-y. And so by then we're at 82. Disco was dead apparently, but dance music was still there. But it was coming out of that. We're heading into the 80s, and like season 4, I noticed in 83, 84, the horns were loud, and it was very less disco. And then by season 8, 84, 85, it was very 80s, very drum machine heavy. I mean, it's like boom, boom, boom. I was hearing the way they were hitting the drums. I'm like, very 80s, but the theme still basically sounded the same. Season 9, that bass was in there. It was in, because there's a funky bass line in the beginning of the song that they really accentuated. The drums again were heavier, but it was again less dance. It was still dance, but less that. And in season 10, I feel like it was a cleaner update of the song. And then we got to seasons 13 and 14. We're in the 90s, so very different. I wrote down very drum heavy. The horns were lightened, and then they added strings. These are my least favorite themes. They added strings to it, like actual strings. And I'm like, what? Like, what? So seasons 13 and 14, those themes versions of the theme do not grab me whatsoever, at all. It's like, ooh, the wrong choice. Dallas TNT, we're back straightly kind to the original, but just a little more modern. And then a special mention goes to JR's funeral episode where they slowed down the theme and show at the end, though, it's more of the horns. There is no drums or anything. It's just kind of strings and horns. And it's beautiful. It totally sets, I said this on another show, it sets the tone of the episode. We're paying tribute to Larry Hagman and his character JR. And one of the few things I thought Cedra did right was like to start the episode with the slower themes. We're all sad already. We're saying goodbye to him and his character. And it did just set the tone for this excellent, to me, it's one of my favorite episodes, period, of the whole series, old and new. And I thought it was one of the few times in the new series they got it right. Again, Patrick Duffy, Linda Gray, Josh Henderson, amazing performances. So that's it. I think it's the best TV theme. What do you think? I don't know. I do the Falcon Crest after show. I do the Colbys after show. I'm gonna do their themes too, and talk about them. But I'm gonna say I think it's the best one out of all of them, of the primetime soaps. You let me know what you think. We're audio and we're video. So wherever you get your podcast, you can listen to us. They're looking for Dallas Aftershow or JLJ Media. On YouTube, it's JLJ Media. So go ahead and like, subscribe, follow. Listen to the other episodes. I talk about all kinds of stuff. Many of you ask me about Knots Landing. Now I have some friends on one side who are doing the after show. They're kind of like going season by season. So I'm gonna let them do it. And then I have other friends or ex-friends who are still doing it, and I promised I wouldn't do it. So I'm kind of like, I wish I could, because that's my favorite shows of all time. I've been doing the crossover stuff between Dallas and Knots Landing. I'll continue doing that. So that's my little entry to Knots Landing. But there's other ones that do Knots Landing ones. Go to Queers and Soaps. They do a Knots Landing recap of each of the seasons. I think they do up to season 3. So there's a lot more on that to keep going on that one. So they're doing that. That's what they do. I'm James Lott Jr. And I said season 13 and 14. I meant to say season 13. Because season 14 was... See, there are 14 seasons on Knots Landing, 13 on Dallas. I don't remember all this. It's cold right now. It's cold. Just forgive me. Thank you very much for watching. I'm James Lott Jr. And we'll see you next year in 2022 with more episodes of the Dallas After Show.